The overall energy is that of a divine masculine who is preparing to make amends and make a commitment. This divine masculine in the past has been a slow and steady stroll towards balance. Balance for himself and bringing in balance towards a connection with a feminine who is getting ready to give birth to some very focused creative potential. As she has been focused, he has been working on himself. Again, on this slow and steady stroll towards self-awareness, enduring some very heated emotional and mental situations as he has been positioned to go through this divine transformation. And now he's ready to communicate, being in tune with his own intuitive process, having been moving down his own intuitive path. And so now he is in a state of mental conflict and anxiety as, like I said, he was filling his own cups, learning what it meant to love himself. And as he moved through that journey of really loving himself, he understood that where it came to this connection, he was in a great position to assist where you was putting in a lot of the work. And now he's ready to kind of come towards you in a very passionate way and assist. There was a need for him to get in touch with his intuitive nature, really get in touch with his feelings, And he's been moving towards his alignment, allowing his intuitive nature to lead him towards his alignment, which is you, which is this divine feminine. Look at me saying you. This divine feminine who has been moving in her own core, feeling her own way through, trusting in what she feels, regardless of the work that she's put into this situation. She moves in accordance with what she feels, knowing with certainty that the path ahead is clear. And so as this divine masculine has been moving in alignment with what he feels, learning to trust his feelings and his intuitive emotional process is leading him straight towards this feminine. He's allowed himself the space for healing from whatever mental energies he's been aligned with, and allowing himself to go through the transformations necessary for a swift shift in his life towards justice, towards clarity, towards balance, allowing him to bring the connection with this feminine out of conflict, but towards a state of healing. So as he's moving, allowing himself to go through healing and transformation, it puts him in position to shift this connection towards a state of healing and transformation as well. He's allowed himself learning to become vulnerable, learning to allow himself to be vulnerable in the energy of love, opening himself up to the possibilities of the balance and happiness that could come from true love, allowing himself to feel his way forward towards the things that he's desiring, working on, finding the balance necessary to kind of face this community that he's been in alignment with, this mentally conflicting community that he's been in alliance with. In this now moment, this masculine finds himself in a position of being ready to make an offer, being ready to plant new seeds with this authentic and aligned feminine. Whereas once seems like he was just moving through conflicting energy with her, trying to position himself in a place to be aligned with her, and so many shadows that he's had to deal with to align with this feminine. And let's be honest, once the divine shows you that person that you are balanced and aligned with in this life, you can't unsee that. You can't forget that. And this kind of helps him to be aware of where balance is needed. Because this feminine walked away. She walked away because there was no balance in this situation. Respecting the balance that she had developed for herself, she began to put strong boundaries and healthy boundaries in place, because things weren't clear of what was going on with the energy of this divine masculine. And so where she's not closed off, she began to put healthy boundaries in place, nurturing her own knowing and creative potential, and really taking her power back in this situation, which caused this connection to be in a very heavy emotional state, And this heavy emotional state kind of weighed in on having a new start or a new beginning in this connection. It kind of weighed in on this connection having any potential at all. And so it led this masculine to kind of go deep within himself. Take the time that he needs alone to kind of allow the divine to give him insight on what's really happening here. If this person is for me, then why the shakeup, And so as he's allowed himself to take the time needed to sow for that divine guidance, he's gone through the necessary transformation and healing necessary to be strong enough to kind of move forward. And although he has never stopped hoping for this connection to move into a state of healing, although he has never stopped hoping for this wish fulfillment, understanding the divine blessing upon this connection,
ldmusic.com.
He has had very passionate feelings about the things that he has already created in the world, the things that he has been working on in the world, and he's having a hard time releasing himself from these things. It's not to say that he doesn't want alignment with this feminine. It's not to say that the energies that he haven't been aligned with, the people that he had been working with, it's not to say that that energy hasn't been conflicting and heavy and imbalanced, because it has. But he's still having a hard time releasing it because he was the one carrying much of the load in those situations. And even though the energy in those situations was cold and conflicting, especially whereas when he really started digging deep into the realms of self, more conflict showed up in these unbalanced alliances, These things weren't aligned with him, who he was at an authentic level. And as he really started tapping into the nature of himself, as he really started allowing himself to become vulnerable with himself first and foremost, and go through different transformations within himself, as he found himself aligning with this feminine who he knew matched his energy, it created conflict with the alliances that he had, exposing them for the cold energy that they really were. And so he was always planning to return to this feminine. And in his planning to return to this feminine, he realized that carrying the load and dealing with the mental conflict of whatever he was already in alliance with, he was through. He's moved through the energy of just finally being done with it and making the decision to walk away from it. Ready to return towards this feminine energy, choosing love, and being in a position to kind of communicate with this cold, conflicting alliance that he's had with this group of people that, hey, I'm not doing this no more. I'm kind of gonna move on my own accord. And this has been a very conflicting time for him, and during this time, he has found that alignment necessary for forward movement, giving him the strength to finally take the lead, take his power back in his own life, and move towards making amends with this feminine, moving towards his true alliance, his true balance. And as he's been preparing himself, as he's been releasing himself from these cold, conflicting dispositions, as he's been tapping into the nature of his true self, getting ready to return, getting ready to make amends, this feminine has been boldly speaking her truth. As he's been going through the necessary healing process and a long process necessary after release, he's now ready to move forward with an offer. No more waiting. Trying to figure out, how do I approach her? Because it's time for justice to come in. He's been working on coming forward with balance. And now he's moving in his divine energy with only positive thoughts as he focuses forward. Having worked on his balance and allowing himself to be emotionally vulnerable as he moved away from conflicting energies, walking the path alone to build up his inner masculine and feminine divide within himself, gaining the strength necessary to finally be in a position ready to communicate, ready for that 10 of Cups, ready for that wish fulfillment. There was also another situation with a karmic feminine. In addition to this group of people that he was in alliance with, he was in alliance with a feminine where he had to admit things aren't working out. Love himself enough to move towards the energy of what he desired, move towards the energy that felt like home. And so he had to walk away from someone where he was emotionally unfulfilled, where there was no true emotional fulfillment. And so in the past, there was a shift that this masculine went through as he moved towards balanced dispositions, loving on himself, as he moved down an intuitive path towards divine alignment, towards divine balance. And now is the divine time for forward movement when it comes to this connection with this feminine who put healthy boundaries in place as she took her power back, as she focused forward and felt her way forward and put in the work necessary that she had to put in. Chose to kind of stand alone and do her while she allowed him the space needed to figure out who he was, allowed him the space needed to release himself from the things that he was connected to that were not balanced for him.
ldmusic.com.
It's time to move forward. In a situation in the past where this masculine was more focused on the things that he has now had to release. Although when he would come and go with this divine feminine energy, he always planned to return. But on that last retreat, the divine stepped in and caused a divine pause in his movement. And then this divine pause, it gave this masculine opportunity to kind of go through the things he needed to go through and take that leap of faith on behalf of himself, just so he can see how powerful he was in his own right. And whereas he was moving in very promiscuous energy with this divine feminine before, now he has embraced the powerful disposition of allowing himself to be vulnerable when it comes to love.
ldmusic.com.
No longer moving in the energy of promiscuous pursuits, but being in alignment for that new start, that new beginning, with she who matches his energy, with she who is his true complement, with she who has been working so hard building and creating in her own right. He's now ready to commit to this connection. That divine pause also allowed her the moment necessary to be ignited for this new path that they would take together. And now it is time for the divine movement forward of this masculine